Hi there, this is Izzy. It's nice to see you again. I'm a home grower with no special equipment, and I just show you how I manage to grow my orchids at home and some of the disasters that I encounter along the way. So today I want to talk about what I do when I get new orchids into my collection. So you've been to the shops and you've seen something absolutely beautiful, or at least this is what happens to me, and inevitably you end up bringing it home. So in front of you I've got 3 orchids that I have found in the shops recently and brought home. In the centre we've got what I think is a Nelly Isler. It's labelled as a Cambria, but it smells a little bit sweet and it looks a little bit beautiful. On the back here we've got a Phalaenopsis that was from the reduced section that I just couldn't help but rescue. It looked so wonderful, and it's also thriving in my conditions here. And over here we've got a Zygopetalum that I spotted in the shops and just couldn't leave behind. Those flowers were spectacular and the scent from them was absolutely amazing. So I've had a lot of new plants in recently and just wanted to go through with you what I do when I get a new plant with this Nelly Isler in the centre. So here she is, and I could not fit all of these flowers in the first shot. Look at that. Isn't she beautiful? So you can see why I couldn't leave her in the shop. But when I get a new plant in, it's not the flowers that I look at first. It's the roots. So the first thing I want to look at is down into the pot. I want to see what roots I can see that will tell me about how this orchid is supplied with water. And I want to know what it's growing in so that I know what I need to do in terms of repotting soon. So in terms of roots, I can see virtually nothing except for a tiny speck of root here. So this is slightly concerning because I would like to know a bit more about the roots and whether they're healthy. Let's take a look in the bottom. No, I can't see any roots there either, but what I can see is quite a lot of damp medium. So from this, I already know from this tiny root here that this plant has quite fine roots, so they're susceptible to dehydrating easily. But I also know that it doesn't have a lot of roots, they're not bursting out of the bottom of the pot. And the last thing I know is that this medium is almost like soil from the garden. I can't grow in this. This is far too moisture retentive. If I keep this, my roots will rot. So I know I have to repot this orchid to look at these roots sometime in the near future. And in order to save these roots, because this is not good for my environment. When I repot, I will also put it in a clear plastic pot. If this had been potted in a clear plastic pot when I got it, I would have been able to see what condition the roots were in. So the next thing I will go and have a look at is the leaves of the plant. So these leaves are wonderful and healthy and green. I can't see any spotting, I can't see any burns. They look fantastic. The only thing I can see is a little bit of accordioning on this leaf here and on the leaf down here. So this is what happens when plants, orchids that really like water, go through a drought period and they don't have enough whilst they're growing to properly force their leaves out. So the fact that I have accordion leaves tells me a couple of things. It tells me that this is an orchid that likes a lot of water, and it also tells me from the medium that the growers certainly tried to keep it nice and damp. And it tells me it's gone through a drought period at some point in the recent future, which might affect how well it grows, in the recent past, which might affect how well it grows in the future. So I know that this orchid is susceptible to accordion leaves and to drought. If you want to know more about accordion leaves and about the signs of not having enough water on your orchids, check out my other video on this. So I know this is a plant that likes water, but the leaves are looking healthy otherwise. So as long as I can keep the roots healthy in a bit, everything should be fine. The last thing I want to check is whether there's any new growths and what the existing growths look like. So I can see a little bulb here. That will be one of the early bulbs for this plant, and a much larger bulb here. So this one is one of its full-grown adult bulbs, which means this is the direction of growth. So if I'm to see any new bulbs, they'll be around this side. And lo and behold, there's what might be a new bulb just down here behind the stick. So this plant has promise. New bulbs mean more flowers in the future. So this Nelly Isler, she's looking beautiful right now. To keep her looking beautiful in the future, I'll need to repot her to a clear plastic pot and make sure that those roots are nice and healthy. So, what about the other two? Well, this plant here, this Phalaenopsis, has got a good medium. It's in a clear plastic pot already, and I would normally have also checked out the roots of this one by repotting it, but it's chosen to reflower, as you can see from the buds over here. So I'm just giving this plant a little bit more time before I repot it. With the Zygopetalum, this one is also growing in a medium that I can't grow with. So I will be repotting this one very soon as those flowers drop. With all of these plants, there's one last thing that I do. I keep them separate from all the rest of my orchids for a little while. This is so that I can protect the rest of my collection from any diseases that these plants might be bringing in. I haven't spotted any diseases in their leaves, but that's not to say there's not a snail lurking in there somewhere. So it's always wise to keep them apart from your other plants for a few weeks, at least until the flowers have died back, so that you don't cause any harm to your other plants from having these new plants in your collection. That's all for today. Thanks ever so much for listening. If you like this video, please give it a like down below. If you've got any comments, please leave them in the comments section. And if you'd like to see more, please go and subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you again soon. Bye!